Welcome to the Panic Button, the place where fear meets honesty, humor, and humanity. Let's press in. I'm Craig Ellingson, and today in the studio we have Kayla Jones. How are you, Kayla?
Good. How are you?
I'm wonderful, even though it's a little gloomy outside.
Yes.
At least it's
a little sad.
bright and sunny, if we say sunny in this room, in the
Exactly.
studio. Well, today, the episode, we're going to talk about fear of missing out, or FOMO. So tell us about what you know about FOMO, Kayla.
Yeah. So it's actually really funny because I didn't really know what FOMO was until I moved up here in North Dakota. I'm from St. Louis originally. That just wasn't like a term we ever used.
Okay.
So when I moved up here and one of my friends couldn't come to something we were doing because it was during finals week, and she was like, I have such bad FOMO. I was like, I don't know what you're talking
what
about.
What the hell is that?
Yeah, I was like, what are you saying? But then once I gathered an understanding of it's the fear of missing out, and that idea that if you're not a part of something really fun, you could miss out on more than just the activity, but the connections that come with it, or the potential of what could have been if you were there. And I realized I have a lot of moments of that. I get that, especially when you don't live around your friends or something.
Right.
They're forming those relationships and things without you. So I get that. It feels like if you're not there, then you're almost regressing a little bit, you're missing out on important things.
Right. So what do you think has been a major cause of FOMO?
I think there's a few things. I think one has been that we're just in a time where social media and the internet is so big and it's so consuming. It's such a part of our lives that sometimes we can get a little bit lost in that. Mm-hmm. So when there's an opportunity for really good human connection, it feels really weird, but it's also I have to be a part of that. If there's a chance to be a part of a group of people having fun, or even just an activity that would make me feel really good, I need to be a part of that, because otherwise I see all this stuff online where people are doing things like that, and that seems really cool. But if I have the opportunity to be a part of it, I really need to be there. So I feel like that has been a huge thing.
Well, yeah, and I think that we all forget that social media is so curated. It's not real life.
Exactly.
And anybody can put out anything they want, and everyone assumes it's true, right? Because all our lives are not made up of these wonderful vacations and these wonderful meals and all this fun stuff going on all the time. There's downtime and darker times than everything 100%. That we put out there.
Yeah, and I get that, though. I understand wanting to have the vacations, or the themed parties, or just a group of people around you all the time. And sometimes it's really hard to be able to pull back from that and realize that's not always the case with all of these scenarios, that people are just constantly happy. They have 1,000,001 friends. That's usually not the case, but it's so hard to pull yourself out of that when you're in the mindset of, I want that.
Well, it's so funny because right now on TikTok, I'm kind of addicted to TikTok and other social media platforms. They're talking about these groups. And they're like, are you group 7? Have you been invited to group 7? So are you getting the same group 7?
I'm group 7,
okay, I think everybody's group 7.
Everyone's group 7.
Because they keep saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7. 6, 7, 6, 7. And I'm assuming that everybody's in 7, but they all want to feel like they're part of that tribe.
Absolutely. And even in the comments, you see people saying, what does this mean? Wait, how do I someone give me context, and then you have someone replying well, if you know, you know.
If you know, exactly.
And they don't know.
And you don't want to say you don't know. So everybody wants to fit in.
Exactly. Right? And the whole time this is all based on nothing. No one knows anything. But just that feeling alone of not being included, I think really makes people stir a lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what do you think are some ways people can get out of FOMO, or detox a little bit?
Sure. I think for me, the biggest thing has been really finding things that I enjoy doing with myself. I enjoy my own company a lot. And so doing things that get me outside of my comfort zone, for instance, I have a friend who, we talked about this a while, and she really cannot go to the movies or to dinner by herself. She refuses to do it. And I was like, well, I actually really enjoy that. And she was like, why? It's so lonely. It's so lonely. And I don't feel that way, because I feel comfortable in my own company. I am a little introverted, so it could be that too. But I think when there's these moments where you're like, oh my gosh, if I just could be a part of that, if I had all these people, there's nothing stopping you from doing it.
Right.
You know, and I think it's a little uncomfortable at first, but the more you do it, the more comfortable you become with yourself, so that when something comes up that you can't be a part of, you can say, you know what, it's okay. I can do that myself, or, you know, I can run my own show, or, you know, I'll catch the next one. It's fine. I'll do this instead.
It's interesting. My son, who grew up here in Fargo-Moorhead, his very first job out of undergrad was in Baltimore, Maryland. He's still there, but he was saying, you know what, I'm here and I've got all these friends, so what I need to start doing is I need to start going to a restaurant by myself.
Yeah.
I need to go to a movie theater by myself. And, and so he kind of prepped himself for that ability to just be without having to connect with anyone right away, because you never know what it's going to be like in a new place.
100%.
So that kind of unplugging from family and friends and trying to do something on your own, I think is a really great idea of being able to recharge and rejuvenate without having to have somebody fill you up.
100%. I think that's also why, like, it's important to know who you are in these moments and, like, really discover who you are, because if not, you might fall into these spaces where, yeah, there's a lot of people, but they might not be your people. They might not believe in the same things as you. They might not be people who actually fill your cup. They might just be there.
Right.
And I think sometimes people mistake that for, like, well, this is connection and this is friendship as long as there's people there, instead of taking the time to say, you know what, I know who I am and what I value. Now let me find people who also can add to that. And I think that's a huge part of, like, why FOMO can really turn into such a big isolating thing, is you're constantly looking for this, like, well, this is what I see online. How do I get exactly that? You won't.
Right.
But how can you find what works best for you is a totally different story. And you can find that a lot easier once you know what it is that you actually want.
So I actually met you here on campus at Minnesota State Moorhead, where you are currently working in the Student Success Center, right? So what kind of issues are students having with FOMO and things that might be related to that?
Totally. So there has been this concept of, like, cringe that I have never seen before, where people want to be a part of something, they want to do something, they want to have fun, they want to make friends, but they are so... everything seems cringy. And I teach a first-year experience course, and so those are all of our incoming freshmen.
Right.
And I was talking to them about, you know, go to Dragon Fest, see what's going on. You know, if nothing else, you get to kind of see, you know, what MSUM's about, what our traditions are. It's kind of fun. Just go see. And at least half the class was like, oh my gosh, that's so cringe. That's so awkward to just, like, walk around by yourself.
What?
Yeah. I'm like, what do you mean?
Right.
Like, that was like... that's all I heard coming into college was you gotta do that. And now this idea of doing that, everyone's like, I feel so cringe, I feel so awkward, or I'm not gonna go to that school club, that's cringy. And I'm like, death to cringe. What do you mean?
Death to cringe.
Death to cringe.
Yes, that's great.
It makes me so, like, wow, I feel like that's been the biggest eye-opener for me, is, like, people are really scared of looking, like, awkward or cringeworthy, and I think in turn that's really made people kind of forget who they are or what they really want, because they just want to be like everyone else.
Right.
And I understand that, because you want community and you want to feel included, but I think it's really making it hard for people to kind of find themselves, and that's scary to see on a college campus, because that's what college is all about.
Absolutely, and I think, you know, clearly we can say, well, not clearly, one could guesstimate that a lot of this may have started with the pandemic.
Totally.
And everybody being in quarantine and not being around each other. And it's so interesting to me that still to this day, there are many students who are here on campus but are taking a lot of courses online rather than going to face-to-face classes because, you know, God forbid we actually connect with other human beings.
It's really, really, like, it's scary. Like, it genuinely frightens some of the students that I've worked with to, like, be in a new setting and to be in a new class. And I've said before, like, you know, you could always ask the classmate about, you know, this problem or something. They're like, I don't know them.
Right.
Like, I know, but that's kind of how you get connection. But that's not how they really do that anymore. Like, it's really like, you know, maybe we'll add each other on Snapchat through a friend of a friend, and then we'll kind of see.
And then I'll follow you. And then if I don't like it or not give the thumbs up, and all that hieroglyphics mean so many things now.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting because my husband has two younger children, but they're not young anymore.
Yeah.
But I remember when they were in high school and they were with a bunch of their friends and they were making comments on the comments of their post, right? So they go through and they read those comments, and it's just usually emojis, but emojis mean different things to different people, and it's so interesting that this idea of social media, which was to make us connect with one another across the world, has kind of created us into our own little insular silos that we just are either too scared to get out of or don't know how to get out of them.
Absolutely. And I really, really see that with this like upcoming generation. And I don't say that as a way to like blame them or call them, they're not lazy or anything like that. I completely understand how something as life-changing as the pandemic can really put you in this isolation bubble and you can kind of live there. I totally get that.
Right.
I just think that we have to figure out a way to start to find community again because people really want that. And I think that's what FOMO is. Like, people really do desire that. There's just this like hurdle of the cringe before they can like get
remember,
to that.
What is it?
Death to cringe. Exactly.
Yes, exactly. So if you could, and you know this is such a cliche question, but if you could share something with maybe one of the listeners who's like, oh, you know, I do have this fear of missing out, but I do want community. What might be something you would recommend that they try or that they do?
Honestly, I feel like you have to put yourself in an uncomfortable situation. Like, you have to get outside of your norms at least once. And I don't mean like, you know, stand up on a table at lunch and start singing by yourself. Like, that's kind of a lot. But something like, maybe today I'll turn to my neighbor and I'll just, you know, say, hey, like, I really liked your outfit you were wearing, or, hey, do you really understand what's going on in this class? Because I really don't either. But those little moments, they add up so quickly to the point where you'll be like, you know what, I don't feel awkward going somewhere by myself. Like, who cares? No one's watching me.
Right.
And I think that's a lot of what social media has caused too, is like people constantly feel like they're being watched. So you need to be like, you need to look your best at all times. But really, especially on a college campus, nobody cares. With all the love and respect in the world, nobody cares. But there's something so freeing in that. So like giving yourself the opportunity to do something outside of your comfort zone at least once, I think is a great way to start to tackle this like really awkward like FOMO situation, because it'll, one, allow you to say, I do want to be a part of something, but two, it'll allow you to actually try it.
Right.
So, yeah.
And, you know, trying is so important, and it's the fear that limits us, right? So this whole podcast is about different types of fear and how it really does limit you as a human and your human experience and your interaction with the world. Yeah. Well, wow, that's great. Any other closing thoughts?
I guess I would just say, like, you know, social media can be great too. It can be great. It can be something that's isolating, and if you feel that happening, it's okay to pull back from it. And, you know, people say like touch grass. It's okay to do that. Like reconnect with the world. Absolutely, and take that break. But then also like, and if social media is something that's such a big part of your life, it's a part of all of our lives, you can find ways to use that in a way that makes you feel more comfortable too. Don't think that it always has to be this huge daunting thing. It's something that's always going to be around. And maybe find those little areas. Like for me, it's book talk. I love my little nerdy book queens. I'm one of them myself, and it makes me feel comfortable to feel connected with people who are interested in the same things I am. And so, you know, you can use it for good too, to find those things that help validate you instead of the opposite.
Well, you heard it here. You've got some advice. Go out, feel the grass, death to cringe.
Death to cringe.
And maybe even like turn to somebody next door to you at the grocery store, in a classroom, and just make a conversation.
Yeah, be humans.
Yeah. Be humans. Yes. Well, thank you so much for coming.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Listeners, the only FOMO I want you to have is missing out on the panic button. So join us again on the panic button.
Yeah.